Hi and welcome everyone to episode 1 of the Mexico State Aggies Rebuild Dynasty. It's going to be a little bit different of a take as a rebuild, as I've put some stipulations in for just me to follow to make this a little harder of a dynasty. We're only going to be allowed to recruit one-star prospects, so if we go and take a look at our recruiting board real quick, as you'll see, 29 current targets out of the max of 35. We are coming in with some bare bones here at the shelf with Mexico State. Not a lot of product there. 2 0-1 all-time in their bowl games as of the date of this game being made. But as we scroll through our prospect board here, a couple of nice prospects in the one-star caliber. So our stipulation, once again, as recruiting goes, only one-star prospects are allowed, and we're allowing JUCO transfers as long as they're one-stars. So take a look here at Nate Wallace, our first prospect on the board. One of my top prospects I'd like to get. Coming with a +4 to his overall. Got good speed, good acceleration, good jumping and strength, a good break tackle, stiff arm and trucking. Don't know too much about his couching, route running, anything like that, but he's also got good run blocking as well. As we continue further down the list, we have a Tyson Archer out of Storm Lake, Iowa. Good acceleration, good strength. I think he could be a really good athlete for us in the secondary, but his coverage skills will need to build up, of course. Continuing down the list, we have our 2 fullbacks, Mike Johnson and Ryan Campbell. Campbell's the one I'm looking at right now to bring in because he can pass block, and I'm willing to bet he can run block with that C grade. He could even maybe carry it for us a little bit too with that 70 trucking, and he's got a little bit of speed to him too with 78 acceleration. Continuing down the list, once again, we're going to have our quarterbacks of the future here in Jamal Parrish and Slade Larson. Slade Larson coming in at, I believe he's one of the taller of the 2 quarterbacks. Yeah, he is by 2 inches. Slade Larson is a 6'1", 183-pound quarterback out of Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. So you see, he's not a ton of speed of athleticism to him, but he's got good throw accuracy. He's probably got decent throw power. He's got a little bit of injury resistance to him. Once again, these are some bare bones recruits we're putting ourselves up with here to make this recruiting dynasty just a little bit harder. Continuing down, we have Thomas Starks. I believe this is one of the JUCO wide receivers. Yep, the 6'4", 204-pound wide receiver out of Midland, Michigan, and is currently the 270th wide receiver in the class. And then one of our bright spots, you could say, on our team this year is that we are very young on the offensive line, so we went ahead and focused heavily on that. Shannon Shaw, Marcus Mason, and Mike Castillo, and also Bubba Allen, excuse me, are some of the prospects we're looking to bring in. Once again, we only have the 1 scouting badge so far with our coach skill tree. And I also wanted to go ahead and get some corners too. We only have, I believe, 5 active corners on the roster. So we'll come back and look more in depth with the recruiting later in the season. I'll do more of that off camera. We'll go ahead and give you a quick rundown like the preseason outlook, our All-American outlook, and whatnot. So if we go over to ESPN real quick, we can take a look at the preseason polls. A lot of names you would expect. These should match the ones in real life, as these are the direct rosters for the 2019 season. Continuing down, you're going to see just how bad it's going to be for us. As you take a look at Mexico State, currently ranked 123 out of 126. And we open the season on the road against Utah State, the fellow Aggies team, but they are ranked supremely higher than us. We'll take a look at the conference outlook. As of right now, New Mexico State in real life plays in the Independence Conference, which isn't even really a conference, just schools that don't align themselves with a conference. So like the Notre Dames, BYUs, Armies, UMass, and Idahos of the world. We are currently projected 4th in the Independence. As we take a look at some looks around the conference, of course, Clemson's ranked number 1, projected to win the ACC, and should face, I believe, North Carolina in the ACC championship. In the American, Cincinnati is currently ranked the highest there, with UCF and USF behind them, and then Memphis, Navy, SMU in the West. Big 12 is an open race, as Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, and Iowa State claim the top 4 spots, with Baylor, TCU, and K-State also being able to give chase there. In the Big Ten, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota claim the top 5 spots with Iowa, Indiana, Northwestern, Nebraska, and Purdue behind them. And in the Conference USA, UAB, Florida Atlantic, Marshall, Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech, and Rice claim the top 6 spots. This is one of the conferences I could see us potentially joining if we were to go this route. There's 3 conferences currently in my mind. It'd be the Conference USA, the Mountain West Conference, or the Sun Belt. Take a look at the MAC real quick. You have the Buffalo Bulls, Ohio Bobcats, Miami of Ohio Redhawks. And then, of course, you have your Michigan schools with Central Michigan, Western Michigan, and then you have an Illinois school there in Northern. And like I said, the Mountain West Conference is a conference I could see us potentially joining if we wanted to get that far. Of course, Boise State, usually the perennial favorite in that conference, with Air Force and Wyoming gaining ground. And then the Mountain West, Western half of the conference, it's San Diego State, Nevada, Fresno. And in the Pac-12, Oregon is projected to win the Pac-12 North with Washington and Cal behind them. And then the Pac-12 South, USC with Arizona State and Utah. Continuing down now to the SEC, it's Bama, Georgia, LSU, Florida, and Auburn in a 5-team race for that top spot. All teams ranked there in the top 11. And they have their top 6 teams ranked in the top 15. And in the Sun Belt, Louisiana projected to win that with Western Kentucky and Troy behind them. We have Arkansas State later on our schedule. Let's take a look at the quick Heisman watch. Preseason Heisman favorite is Connor Blumrick, quarterback out of Texas A&M, the junior 6'5", 210-pound quarterback. They have a left guard on here, so I have to imagine that's just the have at the roster. But they have Jack Miller at quarterback, Hassan Hall, and Isaiah Crocker. I'm willing to bet that would change up pretty quick. That's just off how the rosters were imported. I've already gone through the preseason All-Americans off camera. We are only listed with 2 preseason All-Americans, and those are both inside the Independence Conference, and it's our quarterback and one of our defensive backs. Jonah Johnson, our quarterback, is the second-team Independence quarterback. Going out to our scores and schedules, I'll show you run down a quick of our schedule. We open up on the road for 2 straight weeks with at Utah State and then at Boise State. Boise State currently ranked 23rd. And then we come back home for a rivalry game against the University of Texas El Paso and then hit the road once again for the first quarter of the season to finish up at UCLA. So, once again, this is not a dynasty I'm expecting to take off here in the first year, maybe 2, or even 3. This is a team that's not supposed to be very good. Like, we will win probably 3 or less games this season. But continuing down the schedule, we have in Week 5 here our first bye of the season, and then we have our 3 straight home game stand, opening up with the Rio Grande rivalry game against rival New Mexico. And then we host Arkansas State the following week, and then ACC FOP in Boston College. Continuing down the list, we have our second bye of the season, and then a 2-game road stint against Louisiana and Florida Atlantic. And then finally, we have our third and final bye of the season, where we close out the season at number 10 Notre Dame and then home for senior night against Idaho. If we go down to toughest places to play, once again you'll see just even when we're at home, it's not going to mean we're going to have that much of a decisive advantage. As you look down this list, I'm continuing to scroll through, and we're just buried on it. We should be around like the 120 range if I remember right. Yeah, we are around 119 is Aggie Memorial Stadium. Currently a home streak of loss 5 in a row. And finally, we'll go and give you a rundown of the depth chart of the team. So coming into the season, Jonah Johnson will get the start at quarterback. Weston Edgett will go ahead and get chances at second-string quarterback too. We may even have some packages for him as more of a thrower. He does have the better throw power, throw accuracy. And in the backfield, we're going to have a stable, probably 3 running backs will all constantly get action. Omari Samuels, Jawan Price, and Navion Mitchell will all get bulk carries this year. I don't anticipate Eli Anderson getting any carries just because I'm not a huge fan of going 4 deeps in your backs, and it really makes recruiting hard to get bonuses for those linemen. At fullback, we don't have a listed fullback. We'll probably play a tight end there. But at wide receiver, we have a 6'3", 190-pound wideout in Drew Dan, the junior redshirt. Comes in as our highest-rated overall wide receiver, and behind him is a senior 6'1", 160 target, Anthony Muse. And then third string is a senior 5'11", 195-pound target, and Robert Downs III. Getting down to wide receivers. Go down to tight end, and we're going to have 2 wide receivers playing tight end there, as we don't have any tight ends on the roster either. As the junior 6'4", 185-pound Justice Powers will play starting tight end for us, and then Caleb Mills will back him up. As I said earlier, we're really young in the offensive line, so at left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle. Out of that starting lineup, 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen that are starting are sophomores, with the exceptions of Blake Walker here at right tackle. Going to the defensive line now, Xander Yarborough, the 6'6", 257-pound end, will get the start at defensive end. He'll be backed up by Donovan King. I envision these two as being kind of interchangeable. You have Yarborough here as a stronger defensive end, but Donovan King is the quicker one, so he may be in a more pass-rushing situation. At right end, it's Tevin McDaniels and Lazarus Williams. These two will also be interchangeable throughout the season, but once again, this is going to be a team that's going to give up a lot of points, and we will be playing the 3-3-5, so a lot of these defensive tackles you see right here on your screen will get subbed out pretty often. Roy Lopez will get the start, though, number 51, the 6'2", 310-pound nose guard that'll play for us. We'll go ahead and get the start, and he'll be backed up by Miles Vigin. At the linebacking core, it'll be Michael Bowe Jr., getting the start at left outside linebacker. Starting middle linebacker will be Devin Richardson, and he'll be backed up by Trevor Brohard. Rasheal Hodge Jr., the 6', 235-pound linebacker, is our highest rated overall player, and he will be leading this defense into the 2013 season. At corner, we only, like I said, have 5 active corners on the roster. Xavier Hinkle, Brandon Shivers, Damani Williams, Justice Stinson, and Ronnie Sanders II. Get used to those names, because those are the only 5 corners that we're going to be playing this season, with the exception with maybe a safety that will come down into the box. Chance Cook is our starting free safety, backed up by Chris Bell, and then Jason Simmons Jr. will be backed up by Rich Hall. And starting kicker will be Ethan Albertson, and then Josh Carlson. Finally, just before we end the video here, we'll go over and look up our matchup of Utah State here in Week 1. Kirk Herbstreit is projected the Aggies of Utah State to defend home turf and get the win. Can't argue with that. New Mexico State as a whole just doesn't stack up as a program. Like I said, we have that undefeated bowl record. We'll go ahead and browse through the Aggies depth chart real quick before we end off the video and give you guys something to look forward to. My thought process in scheduling Utah State is that's a preview of what we could do in the Mountain West Conference if we want to get to that point, but this is an option-heavy offense, and our 3-3-5 defense that we're going to be running is going to be tested and stressed awfully a lot. Henry Columby will be their starting quarterback, with their running backs being Jalen Warren, who will probably get the bulk of the carries, Anuch Nawahan, and then John Gentry will be their third and second string running backs. Our wide receiver will be Savon Scarver and Jordan Nathan at the 1 and 2 wideout spot, and like I said, not a ton of corners on our roster, so they're going to have to be doubled probably by a safety for the majority of the game. At tight end, Carson Terrell will get the start with Bowman behind him. As we scroll through their offensive line real quick, not trying to let this video drag on too long, they are just by far superior between the tackles. Their ends are stellar. I would say that we're probably stronger as a whole as a defensive front. Their linebacking core is awfully young, and then their corners are also very inexperienced. Only one upperclassman in that group. As we head down to the safeties now, it'll be Troy Lefgren Jr. leading the defense on that end of the field, and Shaq Bond, the senior. So 2 senior safeties for them, looking to keep their backs to the goal line and keep everything in front of them with this young defensive backcourt. And so that'll probably end off the video here, guys. I want to thank you again for tuning in. I know this is kind of a different setup. You'll have to apologize the audio. We're doing something new here, if you're ever used to seeing me stream games normally, but we'll get it sorted out and get ready for Game 1, Week 1 of the 2013 season coming up soon. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.